Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Tuesday evening here with us at our Kabbalah channel. As you know, we're part of B'nai Baruch, www.kabbalah.info. If you're interested in the wisdom of Kabbalah, you can always check out our website, and you can actually do something really good as well. You can join the KAB-U Academy if you want to learn the wisdom of Kabbalah. Also, if you want to get a taste, you'll find plenty of lessons here from earlier periods where we had a few semesters to give you an introduction to the wisdom of Kabbalah. So join in, and you can find people that you can learn with in your own country and your city even. So let's continue, though, with what we've got, and that is on the verge of Lishma, and I do believe that is the topic we're on today, and we're going to carry on with item number 4. That's where we left off last time. So let's read. Any questions, any dramas, any problems, send them through, and we'll try to fix them as best we can. One must receive the power to work Lishma from the upper one, since the lower one is powerless to begin the work, but only in the form of Lolishma, not for her sake, called the will to receive, for only the Lolishma gives the first moving force of the lower one. But when a person does not find sufficient flavor in corporeal pleasures, he begins to search for spiritual pleasures. It follows that the root of the work of the lower one is the will to receive, and the prayer called man rises up, and then the upper one corrects this man and places on it the power of the masah, which is a desire to delay the abundance before the lower one knows about himself that his aim is to bestow. That is, the upper one bestows upon the lower one good taste and pleasure in the desire to bestow. Right, as usual, let's do round 2 and go sentence by sentence, right? One must receive the power to work Lishma from the upper one. So we've got to receive. We don't have this power to bestow, right? Lishma means in order to bestow with no self-benefit whatsoever. So we don't have such a skill, or we don't have such powers, let's say, right? We don't have such special powers. So our nature is a desire to receive for ourselves. So the change in our nature from ourselves to pure bestowal, that comes from the upper one, right? From the creator. Upper means actually my upper degree, because I can't jump from age 1 to age 10, right? So I have to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and so forth. So every spiritual degree is also 1 by 1. So in order for me to get some kind of an attribute related to what I can chew, can only be from the one upper degree. Since the lower one is powerless to begin the work, the lower one is us, right? Whoever is in the lower degree, but only in the form of Lolishma, which is not for her sake. So Lolishma means still I'm working egotistically, called the will to receive. So I'm still in my will to receive when I start studying, okay? It's called Lolishma. For only the Lolishma gives the first moving force of the lower one. For when a person does not find sufficient flavor in corporeal pleasures, he begins to search for spiritual pleasures. Okay? So this is how we come to spirituality, don't we? We start asking about the meaning of life. Why? Because all of a sudden, life starts to be like, I don't know, empty or tasteless. So we're looking, because we're a desire to receive pleasure, we're looking for a new taste. And if we can't get pleasure from corporeal things, or if we feel like there's no real pleasure in corporeal stuff, so what do? We start sniffing around other stuff, okay? And that's how we get to spiritual stuff, like teachings, or I don't know, philosophies, or the wisdom of Kabbalah. It follows that the root of the work of the lower one is the will to receive. So this is never going to change, right? We are always going to be a will to receive. That's our nature. The point is, how am I going to use it? Am I going to use it for my egotistic self-benefit, or am I going to use my desires in order to bestow? So how am I going to use it is the question. And the prayer called Man rises up. Now, Man means prayer in the wisdom of Kabbalah. It means actually, it's an abbreviation for May Nukwin, right? It means female waters, right? Because the female is a desire to receive, and Nukva, female waters, means May Nukwin. May is water, Nukva is the female. So water is a desire to bestow, and Nukva is a desire to receive. So it's a blend of that. So a desire to bestow is called a Man. That's a real prayer. Rises up to the creator or to the upper degree, and then the upper one corrects this Man. So our initial desire or our initial prayer is not really a correct one, because we don't really know what bestowal is. Okay, so our pleas become corrected and places on it the power of the Masach. Now, this process of raising Man or praying for the right thing, which is to change our nature into bestowal, okay, brings to us the power of the Masach. Masach means a screen. It is the power that I have to not be guided by my desire to receive, right? Let's say during our life, right? What do? We're always chasing our desires, okay? So a Masach is a power I receive corresponding to the correct prayer, which allows me to be above the desire rather than the desire controlling me. I can now control the desire. That's called a Masach. That inner strength to ensure that I do not yield to my desire to receive for myself, which is a desire to delay the abundance before the lower one knows about himself, that his aim is to bestow. So this allows me to put the brakes on my desire to receive, because we don't really know what the abundance the Creator wants to give is. Right? We have no idea what bestowal is. The Kabbalists are saying the best pleasure in the world is to bestow. So for us, that's like a bit like, no, I don't think so. Okay, because we're a desire to receive pleasure. So you want to give? Okay, you guys go ahead and give, have fun. In the meantime, what can I get? Okay, that's our nature. So because we're not aware of that, the study of the wisdom of Kabbalah allows us, over time, obviously, not at once, to change our perspective, our point of observation. So I can look at life from a different perspective. And that's the impact of the learning. So the more we're studying, actually, and learning, and learning about our nature as well, we begin to understand that, wow, wait a minute, there's my character, and then there's this other way of approaching life, which actually allows me to relate to things differently. And then I can kind of think to myself, oh yeah, maybe, I can get pleasure from bestowing, okay, without self-interest. So we're not talking about all the goody-goody two-shoes out there who do a lot of charity work and do good stuff to other people. Okay, that's not bestowing. Because in our nature as well, when we do something good for another person, we feel quite empowered by it, don't we? We're like, yeah, I'm such a nice guy, okay, that kind of thing. And that makes us proud, it gives us pleasure, it gives us self-satisfaction. When you say, yeah, I did the right thing, okay? That's not the kind of silly bestowal we're talking about. Here, it must have no self-interest whatsoever. So this is a process where there's me in my desire to receive, and then there's the attribute of bestowal, and the study kind of like gets me out of my desire to receive for myself. It doesn't put me into bestowal, but it leaves me somewhere in between. Okay, that's called a dilemma point, somewhere between heaven and earth, as they say. That is the power, that is the upper one bestows upon the lower one good taste and pleasures in the desire to bestow. And that comes afterwards. So only once, when I've attained the power to be above my desire to receive, so the desire is no longer controlling me, then I can actually sense this kind of disconnection from this desire to receive, who's always like whipping me and pushing me in life to constantly run after stuff. Okay, so we're kind of like enslaved to the body. The body is a desire to receive pleasure for itself, so it's constantly like Pharaoh whipping us and, you know, making us run around for all kinds of silly, stupid things that we don't need, right? And that's how we pass our lives. And at the end of it all, we get old, and then you get older and you're thinking, well, what just happened? Okay, because it's all gone by and it's not coming back. And by the time you're like, oh, wait a minute, you know? So time goes by just like that, like a dream, and then you end up dead. So this is the corporeal life where you're chasing corporeal pleasures. In spiritual pleasures, you're above the governance of your body upon you. So that allows you to actually just sense a reality, an existence which is disconnected from your body. And that's the freedom that the wisdom of Kabbalah can bring to a person. Obviously, it's the study, the spiritual study, which brings a person an elevation where he can sense another form of life, which is disconnected from his body, disconnected from his will to receive for himself. Okay? And that's the pleasure that he's talking about here. Now, you might be asking, well, how can bestowal, how can desire to bestow really give a person that kind of a sensation? Because the desire to bestow means that I'm thinking about somebody else more than myself. And if I'm thinking about others, and if I'm desiring the good things for others without any self-interest, that allows me to kind of separate myself from the body, the desire to receive for myself, and then have a new me. Okay, the new me, the new spiritual me. Okay, and that's a sensation, it's a feeling. Okay, so let's do that. Let's get rid of that. Now we're on item number 5. Okay, any questions? You guys just raise your hands and I'll check it out. So this is another one from Rabash, article number 223, entry into the work. Only after he achieves this degree called Lishma. So obviously Lishma is a degree we need to attain, right? So we're not just coming into the spiritual study like in Lishma. It's just not going to happen that way. Lishma is a sensation which we need to like really feel on ourselves. And I'm really doing things for my personal benefit. Okay, because a lot of people don't see that in their corporeal lives, right? If they're not studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, if they're not studying their human nature from the perspective of another set of glasses, let's say bestowal, they're not going to call themselves bad people. You know, everybody has a way to justify themselves. So the whole concept here is that understanding that I'm in complete egoism and I'm doing everything for myself and there's just nothing I can do about it is like a degree called Lishma. Right? So he is rewarded with other phenomena when he comes to a higher state. That is, at that time, he has no consideration of himself, and all his calculations and thoughts are the truth. So once we get to this degree called Lishma, in every degree, I must attain the Lishma of that Lishma, right? So every degree has kind of like 2 parts. So when I enter a new degree, I'm entering it with Lishma, right? So I'm always entering it from the desire to receive for myself, because the new degree is my new level of coarseness. It's my new level of egoism, which is a higher degree of egoism. So what I'm going to be feeling initially when I start that is I'm finishing the previous degree, and now I'm entering a higher degree of egoism, and that's like Lishma. And then what I've got to do is turn that Lishma into Lishma, which is bestowal, and then I'm going to complete that degree. All right, does that make sense? So in every degree, that's how it's going to work out for us. So Lishma is required. It's necessary for me to be in a state where I recognize my egoism, because that allows me to, it allows me to ask for the right thing, like in the previous excerpt we read about Man, right? Raising Man, the prayer. By seeing Lishma, I'm able to depict to myself the Lishma of that state. Okay, and that depiction then turns into a desire to get to that Lishma, and that desire within us to change from an egoistic state into a bestowal, into the attribute of bestowal on that level, then becomes the prayer, because then you're in between two levels, right? You're in a level at two extremes. So you entered in Lishma, in an egoistic state. Then from the egoistic state, you envision the bestowal of that state. And the gap between the two, as they grow to an extreme, becomes your prayer. So from this oppositeness, you build the correct form of bestowal. And that's, at the end of the day, going to happen as a result of the prayer. But a prayer won't happen until you kind of get into that, in between those two states, if you know what I mean. Okay? Otherwise, I won't know what to ask for. So I've got to see the bad in order to depict the good compared to what I see as bad. Okay? Then my desire to leave the bad and go to the good becomes Man, and that prayer gets answered, right? Then you attain the Lishma of that degree. Okay, that's why it's given by the upper one, because I'm inspiring to be in the state of the upper one. In other words, his aim is only to annul himself before the true reality, where he feels that he must only serve the king because he feels the exaltedness and greatness and importance of the king. At that time, he forgets, meaning he has no need to worry about himself, as his own self is annulled as a candle before a torch, before the existence of the creator that he feels. Then he's in a state of Lishma, meaning contentment to the creator, and his concerns and yearnings are only about how he can delight the creator, while his own existence, meaning the will to receive, does not merit a name whatsoever. Then he is regarded as bestowing in order to bestow. All right, so let's go through that again. Only after he achieves this degree called Lishma, he is rewarded with other phenomena when he comes to a higher state. So we're always starting with our egoistic state. That is, at that time, he has no consideration of himself, and his calculations and thoughts are the truth. So every time I turn Lishma into Lishma, I'm only concerned about the truth, and the world of truth is known as the reality of the creator, right? So that's what the truth is, because our life here is like a dream, right? Well, it's more like a nightmare, isn't it? So it goes by as a movie kind of thing. So if you want to wake up in the real world, then you got to be in the reality of the creator, where he feels that he must only serve the king. The king is the creator, because he feels the exaltedness and greatness and importance of the king. Now, obviously, like I always say, the creator doesn't need us to serve him, right? Obviously not. When we're talking about the king, serving the king, the greatness of the king, the exaltedness of the king, the importance of the king. We're talking about the attributes of the creator. Just like when we know people, right? If we have good friends, how do we describe those friends? We say, oh, he's kind, or she's generous, or I don't know, he's polite and she's helpful. So we're always describing people according to their attributes. And it's those attributes we give value to that allows us to say that, well, okay, that's a nice person, or that's a pretty crap person. Okay, so it's the attributes of the creator that we're aspiring for, which is love and bestowal, which is selflessness, which is the key to kind of getting out of yourself. Because if you live in yourself the way you're currently living, in your desire to receive pleasure for yourself all the time, you'll never be happy. You can't be. It's impossible. Okay, this is why the world is a mess. Okay, in order to clean out the mess, you've got to live from an opposite perspective. This is why we're created in such a way that is completely opposite to the creator. So from complete disaster, we can build complete perfection. So the exaltedness and the greatness and the importance of the creator and to serve it means that I am bringing myself to a state where I'm behaving and existing in reality like the creator. At that time, he forgets, meaning he has no need to worry about himself, as his own self is annulled as a candle before a torch, before the existence of the creator that he feels. So once we have a sensation of the creator, that's the most important thing, right? In the wisdom of Kabbalah, the most important degree is the first degree. Okay, and it takes ages, and that's the most difficult one. But once you're born, it's like getting born, right? So the process of being born is like, you know, pretty rough, right? If you ever seen a baby get born, it's pretty chaotic, okay, both for the mom and the baby. So it's hard, it's chaotic, it's painful, it's uncertain, okay? Everything is like, whoa, anything can happen now, okay? And then all of a sudden you're born into this new world. So same kind of thing in spirituality. So what happens is, as he enters spirituality, he begins to start feeling life from the perspective and the attributes of the creator. When his egoism is completely annulled, so he's feeling complete freedom. Okay, then he's in a state of Lishma, for her sake, meaning contentment to the creator, so he can bestow just like the creator. That's what it means, contentment to the creator. And his concerns and yearnings are only about how he can delight the creator. So there's only one thing now on his mind. Instead of receiving, he's just thinking about bestowal in that new degree that he's born in. While his own existence, meaning the will to receive, does not merit a name whatsoever. So the will to receive is completely out of the picture. When I say out of the picture, obviously, we're not destroying it or anything, but it's just not active. It just cannot act in that state. Then he's regarded as bestowing in order to bestow. So I'm completely then above the desire to receive, not receiving anything in order to bestow, but above the desire to receive. So I'm in a state of this feeling of freedom. Right, any questions? Nothing yet, we're all good. Just one question. Asti is asking, how do we differentiate the desire which satisfies the ego and the desire for bestowal? Well, that's easy. If you're satisfying yourself, okay, that's going to be desire for yourself, for the ego. If you satisfy your friend, then that's going to be bestowal. When you satisfy your friend, you've got to do a bit of inner analysis. I'm satisfying my friend right now. What am I getting the satisfaction from? Okay, so that's the question you need to ask yourself. Am I getting satisfaction because I did something good and I feel good about myself? Or am I completely disconnected from the act and I'm just focused on how my friend is feeling? Just focused on how she feels good. And that's it. Okay, that should not give you any taste at all. Okay, because in my desire to receive, I shouldn't feel any taste. Quite to the contrary. Okay, but if I have a special connection with that person, then I can feel through our connection happiness. Okay, because of her happiness, you're able to feel happy because you're connected. You got this bond connection. Okay, and that's the whole trick. Okay, we've got excerpt number 6. This is again from Rabash, article number 23. We should know that the degree of Lishma is a very important degree, and we haven't the intellect to appreciate the importance of Torah and mitzvot Lishma. Baal Sulam said that as much as one may appreciate the work Lishma, which is important work, he should know that Lishma is more important than the importance that a person attributes to Lishma. Since one cannot properly assess the importance of observing Torah and mitzvot, even Lishma, although observing Torah and mitzvot should be Lishma. All right, let's read that again. We should know that the degree of Lishma is a very important degree, and we haven't the intellect to appreciate the importance of Torah and mitzvot Lishma. Now, Torah and mitzvot is obviously our Torah. Torah is teaching, right? So our teaching and the commandments of our teaching in Lishma. Okay, why? Because Lishma is actually where I clarify what I'm going to correct. If I can't see what to correct, there's no way I can do Lishma. So Lishma has to be there. It's the reason for the Lishma. Okay, that's why Lishma is really important. This is why if a person regularly on the street, despite the fact that our human nature is 100% egoistic, he or she cannot see bad attributes in themselves. So they say, hey, I'm a nice guy, I'm a nice person, da 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 da. Okay. So why? They don't see the evil in them. So Lishma is necessity for us to understand what to change. Baal Islam said that as much as one may appreciate the work Lishma, which is important work, he should know that Lishma is more important than the importance that a person attributes to Lishma. Since one cannot properly assess the importance of observing Torah and mitzvot, even Lishma, although observing Torah and mitzvah should be Lishma. Right? So Lishma is kind of like the cause and the Lishma, the consequence. One without the other cannot happen. So I need to understand what Lishma, I need to understand that Lishma, my evil inclination, as I discover what it is the key to building bestow. So Lishma is like the key then. Excerpt number 7. One must know, when exerting to attain the Lishma, to take upon himself to want to work entirely to bestow, completely, meaning only to bestow and not to receive anything. Only then does one begin to see that the organs do not agree to this view. From this, one can come to clear awareness that he has no other choice but to pour out his heart to the Creator to help him, so the body will agree to enslave itself to the Creator unconditionally, as he sees that he cannot persuade his body to annul itself completely. All right, this is nice. Let's read this again. One must know, when exerting to attain the Lishma, to take upon himself to want to work entirely to bestow completely, meaning only to bestow and not to receive anything. Okay, so this must be the intention. when studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, or when studying Torah, as they say, right? So when I'm studying, I have to take upon myself to want to work entirely to bestow. And that's the key here. I'm studying to want to work entirely to bestow. Completely. Meaning, only to bestow and not to receive anything. So the study shouldn't bring me anything except the ability to bestow. Only then does one begin to see that the organs do not agree to this view. Okay, so once I start studying like that, then I'm going to have an inner conflict. So until I have an inner conflict, it's not really a study, is it? Okay, so inside me, I need to have a dilemma. So my direction needs to be only to bestow. And then I'm doing everything in order to bestow, right? Even though I'm not in spirituality, I'm just working on it, right? But with that in mind. So then my body should say, wait a minute, what you doing? Okay. Only then does one begin to see that the organs do not agree to this view. From this, one can come to clear awareness that he has no other choice but to pour out his heart to the Creator to help him, so the body will agree to enslave itself to the Creator unconditionally, as he sees that he cannot persuade his body to annul itself completely. And that's how we get to a prayer. You cannot defeat your will to receive. It's just not going to happen. The more you work, the more aggressive it's going to get. And you're going to get stuck in the middle of nowhere. So that allows you to see you can't progress in your current nature. So you have to turn to the Creator to persuade him and say, listen, you got to change my nature. Okay, and that's called a prayer. So then the Creator can help, and that's the upper level. And the Creator can give a person first the masach, the power of restraint, the power to be able to stop oneself from using his egoism. And that allows a person to be above his desire to receive. Okie dokie. Okay, so we've got a question. Yes. Ingrid's asking, does one need to know one's friend in order to love? And doesn't knowing friends' flaws make it harder to love another? And if I love despite the flaws and close my eyes, is this bestowal? Tricky. First of all, what do I need to know in the friend, right? We're not really interested in a, I don't know, character evaluation, okay? Because if we're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, we all understand we're crap, okay? We all understand we're bad, so there's nothing really to discuss, is there, right? If we're all egoists, there's nothing really to talk about, right? It's all self-benefit. But what I do need to see in the friend is that they're working, I'm working, and everybody in our 10 is working towards attaining spirituality, right? Attaining the love of friends. Okay, so we may not be there at the moment, but our work is intended and our actions should show what our intention is. Right? So we need to work in that direction. So if we work in that direction, then there's only one thing I need to know about the friend, and that is our common goal. So if a friend is here with us and they're studying with us and they're participating, then I can safely assume that our friend is studying with us for the right cause, to come to the attribute of bestowal. So that's the only thing I really need to know about him or her. And doesn't knowing friends' flaws make it harder to love another? Absolutely. So when we're studying and when we're kind of working together, the things that we see are the negative traits in other people. But you need to understand, from the perception of reality, everything I see is a reflection of what's in me. Right? We're all perceiving reality from our inner qualities. So if I see a flaw in a friend, it's my eyes who are seeing it. Why? Because I'm like that. You see, a person only sees what they are. They don't see anything else. They can't see who I am. You can't see who I am. You can't see who somebody else is. From others, you can only see what you are. So if you bring yourself to a right perspective, then you can say, this friend has this flaw, and this flaw is in me. Okay? And now I should actually thank the friend, because they just helped me out to see what I need to correct. So if I don't have the environment where people are working together, I can never see my flaws. So all of the evil is really kind of being revealed in our work and study by kind of bouncing off one another. All right, so we're in that kind of like ping pong mode, where we're constantly bouncing off one another. And that allows me to see flaws in others, which I immediately say, okay, I see reality, I see the world through my own character, through my own traits. So accordingly, there is no evil in anybody else. If I see a flaw, it's my flaw. And if I love despite the flaws and close my eyes in this, is this bestowal? No, if you close your eyes, it's not going to be bestowal. If you close your eyes, it's like you just, you feel bad and you don't want to see it, kind of thing. What we need to do is, we're not really closing our eyes to a flaw. We understand that I have a flaw in me, which the friend has shown me. Now I can use that flaw and get over it, not use that flaw, but to cover it. And then I can relate to the friend above that flaw with a higher degree of love and patience and, I don't know, empathy, compassion, whatever you want to say. Because the flaw that I see in somebody else allows me to now work on myself to enlarge the love between us, that connection between us. Normally, what people do in the outside world is they see a flaw in a person, and then they say, okay, off we go, bye-bye, you go your own way, I go my own sweet way. Okay, and it's just how it is. So that really doesn't end up with a lot of benefit, except a bad divorce, probably, right? So what we need to do is, the flaws, we need to use them as an opportunity to connect better, to fix our relationship in the areas where we see the flaw. And if I always see the flaw as in me, then I have something to work with. This is why we're working in the group, right? Because everybody needs to work that way. So I'm seeing flaws in somebody else and relating it to myself as my flaw. And the other friend is seeing flaws in me, and then they have to relate it as their flaws. So they have to kind of get over what they see. I've got to get over what I see, and we have to kind of like connect together above the flaws. Okay, that's still not bestowal, but it's a start, because you're now kind of going above the negativity to build a positive connection. Okay. All right, let's do one more. Let's do, I'm looking for a short one because I'm feeling a little lazy tonight. Okay, all right, I'll do it. Which one was it? What are we doing? Number 9, 8? Okay, we're doing number 8. Baal Salam's one commandment. It is hopeless to wait for a time when a solution is found that enables one to begin the work of the Creator in Lishma. As in the past, so is now, and so will it be. Every servant of the Creator must begin the work in Lishma, and from that achieve Lishma. The way to achieve this degree is not limited by time, but by his qualifiers and by the measure of one's control over one's heart. Hence, many have fallen and will fall in the field of working Lishma, and will die without wisdom. Yet their reward is nevertheless great, since one's mind cannot appreciate the true merit and value of bringing contentment to one's maker. Even if one works not under this condition, since one is not worthy of another way, one still brings contentment to one's maker, and this is called unintentional. Okay, let's read that again. It is hopeless to wait for a time when a solution is found that enables one to begin the work of the Creator in Lishma. Okay, so there's never going to be a perfect opportunity, right? Sometimes people say, oh, I'm waiting for the right time. It's like saying I'm waiting for the right person. They're never going to come along, okay? You just end up lonely. Okay? Same thing here. Waiting for the right time to get something done means you're never going to get it done, okay? Exactly when you do it now, okay, that's the right time. As I always say, the best time to do anything is now. So never wait for the Creator to give you the right conditions so you're going to work. Okay, that's just crazy. It's not going to happen. If you want to get something done, do it now. So this is exactly the attitude we should take. As in the past, so is now, and so will it be. Every servant of the Creator must begin the work in Lishma, and from that achieve Lishma. So there is no other way. You just have to start where you're at. The way to achieve this degree is not limited by time, but by its qualifiers and by the measure of one's control over one's heart. So I have to start the work, okay, and not look at it as a time, but look at it as a qualitative development, right? And not measure it by time. Because at the end of the day, look, you could sit inside a classroom for ages, not get anything done, and you won't get anything out of that. But you can spend a few days, complete focus, and you could get everything done in a short amount of time. Okay, so it's about the quality of the work, not the quantity of the work. Hence, many have fallen and will fall in the field of working Lishma. So a lot of people, this is also why a lot of people, you know, leave the study as well, okay, because we have this expectation that now that we're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, or we're studying spirituality, or we're doing something, right? And we expect some good results. And obviously they're not getting it. Okay, so people say, hey, wait a minute, I'm trying to get something good done here, and we're just, you know, finding ourselves more in a deeper, denser swamp. So what can you do? So a lot of people also fall off the bandwagon and will die without wisdom. There you go. Okay. Yet their reward is nevertheless great, since one's mind cannot appreciate the true merit and value of bringing contentment to one's maker. So even a small effort is still greatly appreciated by the Creator. Even if one works not under this condition, since one is not worthy of another way, one still brings contentment to one's maker. And this is called unintentionally. All right, so even if we're working still in Lishma in our desire to receive, but we're still doing something, okay, despite the fact that it's unintentional, it's not intended to get to Lishma, this is still, in the Creator's eyes, very important and great. It's like with our children, right? They do a bunch of stuff, and it's all unintentional, but we get great pleasure from seeing them running around and wrecking the house, okay? Because it's a sign that they've got a desire, okay? So they're running around doing a bunch of stuff, But it's good. If they were just sitting down not doing anything, then we would worry, because a child needs to be all over the place. Okay, so that's the same kind of thing here. That still brings a lot of contentment, even though it's unintentional. So our work also needs to be in that way. We need to start every day anew and not really say, oh, I'm not feeling good today, or it's not a good time for me, or blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, you won't go to work. You won't get anything done in life if you keep making excuses. You just procrastinate everything. And that's it. So every day, open a new page, start studying, and move forward. And by the end of the day, you should also discover the things that you need to change in you with that work. So every day you should be renewing yourself. This is why we say every day you got to open a new page, and start from scratch. It's not really from scratch, but it's like starting with the new you, let's say, every day. Okay, and that's a fresh page. So that's how it is, and we have to get that strength from the environment as best we can, from the friends, so we can move forward. All right, so we've just done 8, and we'll call it a night. How's that? Okay, so this is a really nice topic. It just, gives us a good message that it's just like life. If you want to be successful in anything in life, you got to keep pounding it. You got to keep beating it. You got to keep working on it. And you're not really worried about whether it's a good time to do it or not. So if you want to succeed in anything in life, corporeal things as well, you shouldn't worry about the state that you're in. You should just worry about the goal. Okay. And that's how it is. Same with spirituality. Because if I constantly behave according to my mood, oh, I don't feel good today, I'm not going to do anything, you won't get anything done. And at the end of the day, it's just going to drag out forever and ever and ever. All right. So that's that. So forget what you feel. Just keep working. Okay. All that in a nutshell. Have a great evening. I'll see you guys next time. All the best to everyone. Bye-bye.